Hello and welcome to Farscape,
a fun-filled Farscape fan cast by a fervent fan
and a frankly fascinated first-timer.
Ooh, very good!
Thank you.
You found one. That's
I did.
Excellent. I'm Cocky.
I'm Kay, and this is a story so Farscape.
Oh, we're at the end of season 1.
We've had season 1. It is all over, all and done for. I heard it didn't get renewed. Oh wait, no.
It came very close to not being renewed.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in Australia at the time. The program had done rather well in the markets for which it was intended.
Right.
The Sci-Fi Channel in the US and various European markets. It aired on the BBC, where I saw it in Europe as well.
Mm-hmm.
But there weren't that many studio facilities that could house productions of that sort.
Uh-huh.
And they were being muscled out of the Fox studios where Farscape had been filmed in Sydney.
Oh.
By
Right, they
Star
were doing
Wars
Phantom Menace or whatever it was that they're filming at the time. No, Phantom Menace had been filmed,
so, yeah, they would have been getting ready for episode 2, Attack of the Clones?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Like, moving the entire production to the US was cost prohibitive.
Oh, damn,
just because of the shipping. And also, like, different pay scales for like actors, crew, that sort of thing. But they managed to find a new location called Homebush, which was like 2 hours out of Sydney, a bit of an inconvenience for the people who'd moved there. And it was not dedicated, it was not built as a studio to begin with. It was an abandoned set of warehouses.
Well, couldn't it be much worse than no air conditioning running while they were filming because it was making too much noise film studio that they did the first season in, so...
When we come back in season 2, everything's going to look a little bit different because the ceiling was a different height. So some of the sets had to be redesigned and everything had to be, some interesting new challenges.
So Moya's lost some of that baby weight and now she is...
Yeah. Oh, but so as the fervent fan, looking back on season 1 and re-experiencing it with you has been such a joy because that was the first Moya that I fell in love with. You even saw over the course of the series how the color changed, was really much more golden in the early episodes.
Everything was shot in a golden outside light, and they started playing with light a lot more. Yeah. Although they did seem to have that convention, like asteroids are blue and deep...
planets are ochre, yeah.
That seems to be the color schemes that they were going for. Although it did depend on the planet. We've seen quite a few different planets so far.
Yes, okay, so for the listeners at home, we're doing a sort of a recap of season 1, but of course we don't want to just rehash all the episodes that we've seen. Yes, it will be valuable to collate some of our experiences, but I'm also really interested in hearing your perspective and, most importantly, testing your encyclopedic knowledge of Farscape via a really punishing quiz. Now,
okay.
I will say, I know that you struggle with names, so it's not all. I'm not going to punish you for struggling with that. We are nerds of a certain color, right? We pay attention to certain amounts of trivia. How about yourself? What are you bringing to this season recap?
I've got I went through the episodes. I didn't rewatch them all, but I did go through my notes for all the episodes, and I tried to see if I could establish a timeline, basically. Things that were building up, things that were, in retrospect, references or maybe even setups, or maybe not even setups, but retcon setups. So, we said this back in that episode, and we can use that now. Stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay, so I wonder how we can set that up, because I'm going to do a quick mental list of like seminal episode numbers. PK Tech Girl was number 7. That was a really important one. A lot of the crew have described that as the episode where they figured out what kind of show Farscape was going to be, and that was then followed up with like DNA Mad Scientist, That Old Black Magic with Maldis.
Yes, and the Profiterole Towers.
Oh, rest in pieces. Another really important one was episode 10, They Have Got a Secret.
Yes.
Where we learn about Dargo's backstory and that his character is actually a lot deeper than we knew before, and also the introduction of Moya's pregnancy.
Very true. And also the introduction of Luxon spaceworthiness.
Speaking of introductions, next up was, I think the most important one to mention is, what was it called? Durka Returns.
Durka Returns? Yeah, okay.
The introduction of Chiana.
So.
She was being added
of course.
to the crew.
I was like thinking of it from a story perspective, and that felt a little bit, more Rigel's demons, but...
At least he got an arc in the season.
True.
And that was it. That was his confrontation with Durka. And then, A Bug's Life, I think you can say whether it's A Bug's Life, 18, and then there was the hiatus, and then it came back with 19 with Nerve. It's arguable which is the one where the tone changed and suddenly there was a degree of maturity.
You could say that the end of season arc started with Bug's Life. With that's where
with the fateful stabbing of Aaron.
Right, it's where the PK crew comes on board and tries to commandeer Moya, right?
Yes, that's
the one. Yeah.
Very good.
So you could think that, you'd say I'd say that's where the end of season arc starts.
Plot-wise, definitely.
Yeah.
Like in terms of production, the last 4 were really clustered together in the way that the first 6 episodes, they were shot in pods of 2. A standard way of television filmmaking in Australia that was common in their soap operas at the time. Did not scale very well. PK Tech Girl was the first episode to be shot on its own, and when everybody saw the results, how much more focus there was, how much more attention the production team and the actors could give to the show.
Right, when they don't have to run back and forth between seasons and probably filming scenes out of sequence. And,
yeah.
Okay, now you have to feel this emotion, or this just happened, and now you're doing this. You can save a lot of that on the cutting room floor, but it's what I often hear is quite tricky for actors.
Yeah.
Because the movies and series as well are shot in a sequence that makes sense from a production standpoint, not from a story standpoint.
Hey, I am just glancing down at the pieces of paper in front of you. You have got a ton of notes, Kay.
When you now say an episode number, I can just look up my condensed note for that episode.
Oh, wow. Oh, can you read us some of these gems? Like, what have you got for, let me find Rhapsody in Blue. What does it say?
Which episode number? I've got them by episode number.
Oh, that's 112.
It's 12. Let's see. Yes. That's the planet of the Delvian mind control.
Very good, yes.
Where, okay, so this was a bit of one of the things where I was wondering if this was a setup, because we later on learned that Delvians are plant-based. So we have this weird scene of a Delvian old guy shuffling around in the dirt, working on trees.
Oh.
Is this some kind of Delvian procreation ritual? Are they growing new Delvians there?
Oh, wow.
Also, I noticed that the temple, they have their whole tree of life thing, of course, which again is not unusual in many religions, but of course it makes a little bit more sense if you learn that they are originally plant-based.
Oh my goodness! Like it might be part of their reproductive. Oh yeah, we had no
the
idea.
life tree Delvian religion.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to bring up the Delvians because if you remember that old black magic, I think that was episode 8, the one with Maldus.
Mm-hmm.
So Zahn meets this priest played by. Oh no! Now I've just forgotten his name. He's super hot. He was also the main dude in Defiance, which we happened to be rewatching, the boyfriend and I.
That was, let's see, just have him down in my notes as Red, I believe.
That's the one.
Yeah,
so,
Liko,
very good.
I'm honored to be complimented by Delvian Pa'u.
Okay, so Liko was all red. He had this lovely red sort of flaxeny hair, like the Delvian females that we've seen.
Right.
And he also had these sort of yellow highlights, gold highlights on his skin, which Zahn described.
The yellow highlights are stomata for the transpiration of water.
Ah, that's why you like the light so much. Photosynthesis.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was also flora evolved.
It might have been a sister species, just like we have the...
genetic cousins, like the...
Yeah, the Luxons and the whatever.
And the Elanics, very
that's
good.
That's the one. So yeah, that's like all the notes I wrote down for that particular episode. Just a little refresher and little things that jumped out at me to see what goes on.
Very good. I'm really curious to learn some more. But before we move on with the rest of your experience of Season 1, it is time for a punishingly difficult trivia quiz to test whether you are truly, what did you call yourself?
Frankly fascinated first timer.
That's the one. Let's see how fascinated you were. I've divided it into several categories, like Trivial Pursuit. So we have politics, culture, history, science, geography, and nature.
All right, let's start with science.
Science.
Because I am with science jock John Crichton here.
I had a feeling that you'd go for science. When I play Trivial Pursuit, I always go for the science ones as well.
Yeah, I'd feel like that. At least they have unambiguous answers usually. But you have to do them all in Trivial Pursuit anyway. Okay,
so here we are in the category Science of Technology. Which of these is not like the other?
Okay.
Henta, Metra, Dench, and Trad.
Some of them are measurements, but...
I'm just going to go ahead and give you like 5 points for noticing that.
But I think some of them are measurements of time and some of them are measures of distance. I'm going to go with Metra.
Metra is incorrect.
Oh.
Oh, no.
You were on the right track, though. Henta, Metra, and Dench are units of distance.
A bomb, mere hentas from where I was hovering.
Is how Rigel describes what he called an assassination attempt, but it was just him wee-weeing and it exploding. Metras, you were right, that was the distance. That was the range of the frag cannons.
60 meters and closing.
That was it, yes.
Dench was also... Yeah, that one was blink and you'll miss it.
I want a 3-point grid search of every square dench of this asteroid.
Leaving only the trad, which was mentioned in the flax, and that's the energy output.
400 trads!
Now!
It's too strong, I can't hold her!
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that's a unit of energy output. But very good. You get definitely the 5 points for recognizing that they're units.
All right.
Okay, another list coming up. Which 3 dimensions are used to communicate a planetary location?
Oh, I kind of remember, but it's like a Lork and...
I've actually got the list here,
Yeah.
but if you can,
Oh, sorry,
score some...
it's-
No, it's fine. Go for it. You will score some extra points, and these points will be redeemable for fun prizes.
I remember the scene, but where she's describing it, she's like drawing the stick in the sand.
Very good.
But it's again used on the Goltak base.
The Gamak base, I'm definitely giving you
that's-
plus 5 points for
that's
realizing
where it's
this.
also being used, but I can't remember.
Do you want to try
Yeah,
it?
no, go on.
Pemno, Deca, Delta, and Lurg.
Definitely Delta and Lurg.
Very good.
And which were the other 2 again?
Pemno, Deca.
I'm going to go with Deca.
Incorrect, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Delta 6, Premno 9, Lurg 8.
And yes, you're right. Crichton then asks,
Is it anywhere near here?
and Aaron grabs a branch and draws it in the sand, directional vector, and explains it to him. I'm still going to award you another 5 points for doing so well. That's 10 points in total. You're on a total of 15 so far.
Oh.
You're doing very well.
There's a lot of questions in these categories.
Oh, there's one more for science and
Okay.
technology, and that is... If the Farscape 1 test flight had been successful,
Yes.
exponentially increasing its speed
Yeah.
using only a planet's natural gravitational pull, how the was John planning to get back to Earth? And your time starts now.
He was going to get a tow from the space shuttle.
How would the space shuttle reach him if his speed had increased,
Well-
if he was traveling at unrecorded speeds?
Yes, that would just mean he would go very far, because he was in orbit. Unless he breaks orbital velocity would be unrecorded speeds.
Now,
So-
we have seen one craft perform this maneuver successfully, and that was Moya, later on in the same episode. Under John's direction,
Yes.
Aaron piloted Moya to perform the exact same maneuver using the planet's atmosphere and gravitational attraction.
Yes.
And that was enough to blast out of the range of a command carrier, which had no trouble keeping up with Moya
Moyes
normally.
on her engines alone. No. So how was he planning on getting back? Ooh, that is a very good point.
He would need another planet with an atmosphere in order to be able to perform the same maneuver and return.
There's Jupiter.
Bit of a jog.
Well, I mean, if he's going at unrecorded speeds, he'll be back before noon.
Hold on, Jupiter might be on the other side of the sun at this
I mean,
point.
they probably would have timed it right for that kind of thing. They
Oh,
probably
that is true.
Planned the trajectory so they could do a quick little slingshot.
Okay.
Venus, for that matter, it's closer. It has both an atmosphere and a gravity, so...
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
What about Mercury?
No atmosphere.
Uh,
Also very close to the sun. Kind of hot.
Oh, yes, it is closer to the sun.
Yes.
Okay, I'm definitely going to give you 10 points for that. That is an impressive showing. So you're up to 25 points. Well
Damn.
done.
Oh, out of a maximum of...
Oh, I have not done the math. You're the,
I mean,
that will be your final science question.
Oh, wow.
How many points could you have had?
This is turning into QI, isn't it? So, let's see. Where are we going to take this? The story so far, Farscape, I suppose. We haven't done quite yet.
Prepare for starburst.
I'm going to talk a little bit about my theory that Crace's hairdo either affects or shows his emotional state. I'm not quite sure which one yet.
So, and what about his like shavedness? Are we
That's
talking
definitely-
about
well,
like,
when he's not shaven anymore, then he's really bad.
are we assuming that he shaves or that he has active and retractive follicles?
Well, that would be terrifying.
That he has just lots and lots of little tentacles.
Maybe he can control them. That's why he just like always wears the little goatee. And when he loses like his mental faculties, or when he starts going on the fritz a little bit, that's when it goes wild and they just come poking out and he can't control them anymore. And once he brings himself back under control, he can just retract the ones he doesn't want out there and just have his little goatee again.
It's like Delvian. When they lose their sort of mental composure, their eyes turn red because of tissue bile migrating to the brain.
Ooh, that's horrible.
Do we have any parameters for this hypothesis? What evidence do we bring?
Well, he starts off well coiffed and well shaven, and you can see just him as he gets madder and madder throughout the season, that his hair starts coming undone in little strands, and yeah, later on in the episodes he goes unshaven, and right at the end he starts pulling back together a bit again, just at the end of the last episode of this season.
Until he walks onto the bridge of, I'm not going to say it, Tallinn.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Thank you for that. And marvels, like at that point, He hasn't had an opportunity to shave in the meantime. He just walked on there and just his mood changed. He was so impressed. He just retracted all of his beard stubble.
His hair tentacles just smoothed themselves back into his top knot. No, it's not a top knot. It's just a...
It's a queue. Also known as the battle pony. That's what Claudia Black called it.
The battle pony.
I get it.
That's... Okay.
It has very different connotations when you just say it out of context.
Did we ever figure out what Maldus's thing was? I think he was just like...
He's an emotional vampire.
Yeah, so he was like
just feeding off of their anger and rage. He did, like, his strategy ultimately was to get Grace to bring his battleship to their planet so he could take it over.
And then go on a rampage. And wasn't he planning on stealing Moya as well?
Yeah, a lot of people... Who was planning on stealing Moya?
The guys in the episode where they got trapped in the space field.
Oh, the Flax.
The Flax, that's the one, yes. It was another one of the space episodes.
Yes, a nice convenient bottle episode.
There's like lots of bitching.
Yes, I mean, that's fine. There's also lots of kissing.
Oh yeah, bitching over where to go and all that.
Stans.
Oh, the space
absolute
pirate.
MVP, the garbologist.
Yes.
As she called herself.
That was a fantastic twist there. That's it. But yeah, it was just like one of those episodes. Like episode 2.
IET.
The Monarch one, sorry, episode 3 is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Exodus from Genesis.
Yeah.
Hey, is this your quiz for me now?
Oh, that'd be fun, yes.
Well,
so fighting
I have an unfair advantage.
Now let me see what I have for my notes here.
I have to decode your particular derangements and figure out, bring it.
I'll read you this one first. It was fighting the Monarch. Moya has hot flashes. And it was a space episode.
Okay. No, it definitely was. She wasn't even pregnant yet.
We've discussed that before. It's like maybe it was a delayed pregnancy, I suppose. So the little house on the Perseus arm was that was a very episodal one, a typical quest for MacGuffinum.
Oh, I don't think that's fair at all. Like, I know it's not a very highly regarded episode, and I know that it was not a favorite in my early rewatches. Like, I wanted to get to the meat. I wanted to get to like the continuing arcs and the characters that I knew so well. And this early experimentation was just out of tone. But now I've watched it again with you with more innocent eyes. Like, I have just delighted in how experimental some of the early episodes were and how brilliantly performed and executed they were. Like Linnea, I forget the actress's name, but that was a wonderful performance. I would have loved to see more of her and her son out of the space radio shack.
Let me see. I'll do one and I'll see if I can find you what... All right, here we go. It's the planet of the ski hat people.
Thank God it's Friday again, episode 105.
So you remember?
6,
you remember?
5.
You remember that comment? Then
I know you. Also, I edit all the episodes, so I listen to them a lot more than you do.
True. Okay, that one's too easy.
If anything, I should be testing you. Hey, what was your favorite joke of mine?
What?
Yes, hit me again. Let me see. Put me in, coach.
That one's too easy as well.
They're all going to be easy. I'm just really good at Farscape, you know?
Okay, fair enough. Yes. Murder on the Moya Express.
Oh, episode 118 of Bug's Life?
Okay, I'll give you another one. Someone is not as reformed... No, from the same episode. Someone is not as reformed as they seem.
Durka Returns.
Very good. Episode 15.
Very good, yes. We still never find out who done it.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, Salas was dead, and the last thing in the last moment in the episode, Crichton asks Chiana,
Where were you when Salas was murdered?
Oh, right. Answer him. So it might have been her, or it might still have been Durka. Yeah.
And the thing is, it doesn't matter.
True.
It doesn't matter whether she did or didn't, because she definitely could have.
Yes, she had the opportunity, she had the motive, so it makes sense.
She's shown not to be afraid to
get her hands
sizzle up
dirty.
some sebaceous. Yeah. Okay, my turn.
All right. Next
we still have
category. Politics.
Oh, okay. So, good memory.
That's the one I can remember. So.
Very good. All right, we're going to do politics. Question 1. How many subjects did Rigel rule?
Oh, 10 billion? Yes. Or was it 10 billion planets? No, it wasn't 10 billion planets.
No, I'm gonna give you no points for that.
Oh, no.
You weren't even within one standard deviation of it. It's 600 billion.
600 billion.
I am dominar of over 600 billion subjects. 600 billion people. I have 600 billion subjects.
This is the ruler of over 600 billion subjects.
How many times have we been over you? Every time you say it, it's a different number.
I always get confused because it was the other credit that said 10,000 and it was like, 10,000 planets, not 600 billion. But,
Speaking of which, how many planets are in the consortium of Trow, according to Jotham?
Well, that just said 10,000, but...
That is excellent. Excellent. Perfect. You get 10 points for that one.
The Hynerian Empire is not familiar to me. Yeah? Well, I never heard of the Consortium of Trow. The imperfection is yours. How big is it? 10,000. I have 600 billion subjects. 10,000 planets, each averaging per planet 4 billion trow. I don't believe you. The imperfection is yours.
All right, sort of stretching politics a little bit, but I didn't want to keep adding categories. The next one is, what is John Crichton's rank?
Oh, interesting. Let me think about that. They don't have ranks in NASA. They might have ranks in IASA.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a trick. So it's probably going to be a lieutenant or a captain. I think it's lieutenant.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, no. He is a commander.
Commander. Oh.
Yeah.
Commander Crichton?
Commander Crichton.
Commander Crichton.
My rank is commander. And I'm not military, at least not any military you know.
Pilot always calls everybody by it. He
titles.
calls Rigel Dominar and...
Your Eminence.
Eminence,
Yeah.
that's also one. But you can notice that his tone of voice, the way he says it, really changes depending on how flippant he is, yes.
And lastly, in the category of politics, who stole Rigel XVI's throne? And how are they related?
I don't know the name, but it was his nephew, I believe.
Oh, no.
Oh, unfortunately, no. It's his cousin Bishan.
Cousin, nephew and cousin, the word in Dutch has different meanings. So
Yes, considering that we've recorded 22 episodes where you've spoken perfect English, that excuse is not going to... Unfortunately, you only scored 10 points. Still very good.
Okay,
What else do we
plot
have?
arc.
Maybe we can talk about some of the characters.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, John is the protagonist. So, looking back on it, as we've watched it together, it's a bit of a... I mean, it's an immigrant narrative. It's a refugee narrative. He's a fish out of water.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to open the doors.
You know, at least they know where they are, how things work. Takes me 10 minutes to figure out how to open the door.
You'll need to develop some patience yourself if you expect to survive here.
I'm trying.
He struggles to keep up with stuff that everybody else feels is normal. So even though they're a very diverse group of peoples, they all have a shared expectation. Genetic sieving process, everybody's injected with translator microbes.
Right. And they know how strange the universe is. Even though they haven't seen all of it, they've seen enough different things that they know they're not so much surprised by new strange things they see. Whereas
Right.
for John, everything is insanely new and weird.
Yeah, something that he comments on in, I think it's episode 12, yes, in the Delvian Temple with Erin, that she accuses her of refusing to wonder at things.
You know, I don't think anything amazes you. I mean, look at this. You ever seen one of these before? What would you call this? I dubbed the trigger pod. What? You haven't... But no reaction from you.
Incredible. How special. They're a food source, John.
No, Aaron. It's unique. It's a squid calamari cucumber, and it is incredible.
But so he progresses from this total fish out of water to the reason that I picked number 18 is because that's where he has really figured stuff out. He's had his crisis in Jeremiah Crichton, where he felt...
I wouldn't really call that a crisis. He just basically resigned himself that he was going to be living there.
And he was very surprised to find that they came after him.
Yeah.
And that sort of made him realize that he did have a place there.
Right.
And by the time, like episode 18, A Bug's Life, where he impersonates a peacekeeper, like...
What are you doing aboard my vessel?
This is the point where he feels that he has such a handle on this universe, he can actually start asserting himself there and taking control.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, that he starts getting a bit more into a leadership role, I would say, almost.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
he takes that command and he says, we're going to go do this. It's been Dargo who has been very much starting to give orders without there being any basis for them to be followed on. And John starts doing that around episode 18.
Yeah,
Again,
much to Dargo's chagrin.
Dargo actually chills down a lot towards the end of the season.
Yes, once he and John hash it out and meet at the same level.
But not just between him and John, but just in general towards the crew. He still has his snarky moments, but he doesn't have his rage-filled, we're going to kill them, or we're going to do it like this, and we're going to like that, and you're taking my orders, and we're going left.
I think he's opened up to them. He's shared his true history with them, the crime for which he was imprisoned. He's shown them his family. Even Erin.
May I see her? She's quite beautiful.
Does it surprise you that such a Sebastian woman would love me?
Dargo, it's ingrained in peacekeepers from birth that we must keep the bloodlines pure. That such unions are evil.
Do you therefore think that my son is evil?
No. Because in his eyes, I see you. Dargo, no matter what happens to us, I will never tell anyone about your son.
Dargo's a tricky one because he is very young, relatively. According to Zahn, he's been through two battle campaigns, but like he's a young father.
30 cycles, wasn't he, or something like that?
Yeah.
Was that one of your questions?
I actually don't remember. Let me just check. We'll call that one red if it does come up. But yeah, here's like the slow development of respect for John, for Aaron, for Zahn. They have the moment at the end of...
When did you start becoming such a caretaker? And it's like when you started needing it or something
yes,
like that?
Very good, very good.
When did our roles become reversed, sweet Dargo?
When you required it.
And despite being a great big Luxon warrior, he's a rubbish fighter in the beginning.
He does. Okay, let's see if we can make a list. Just like I realized that Crichton actually never lands via a spacecraft. Do we actually see Dargo win a fight? He kicks John's ass with the tongue lashing.
Yeah, and he finally starts doing a little bit better fighting during the episode 11. The first time actually make an effort to go back when he started doing the wormhole research. And we have that wonderfully chin job strap lady,
yes,
the tech lads. I really loved her.
Flown grass conductor's my guess. Maybe an ionized Frankel as well. Shouldn't be too tough to fix.
How soon?
Hard to say. Should have it for you by nightfall, probably.
Are you sure you've got it contained?
Oh, don't you worry about that. Old Furlough can handle it. Everything's gonna be just fine. That's my motto. No other way, you dumb well-nits. Have to tell him everything.
Me too. Played by Magda Zubanski.
She's got the great eyes and everything like that.
Yeah, the really narrowed eyes. I remember that everything was about having tiny irises. Like, they got goggles as well, but the goggles weren't shaded or anything. They were just painted completely opaque with a tiny pinprick. I mean, everything was camera obscura.
It still works. It's like...
and it would work for eyes as well, if you happen to evolve on a planet like that.
It's also the episode with the bounty hunters, I believe. And
yes, the Vorkarian blood trackers.
And there's another bit of a Crace arc in there as well with the hologram, which basically puts the bounty on their heads.
And a secret message for Aaron as well.
Officer Aaron Sun, Special Commando Icarian Company, plies our regiment, currently absent without leave. You will be captured, you will face trial and punishment. Abandon the human criminal. Return the Leviathan. Surrender Cardago, Pau Zotuzan, and Dominar Rigel 16. Comply, and you will retire honorably. With your commission fully restored, you have my oath as a peacekeeper.
Which she later tells him to STUF.
What?
I was going somewhere between shut the fuck up and stuff it. And I kind of got confused there.
You got like right in the middle there. I really like it. Okay, but before we get to Erin, obviously she has my favourite arc of the season. She's one of my all-time favourite characters. But before that, we still have a few more categories of the quiz. You have opportunities to score some extra points here. We still have culture, history, geography, and nature.
Geography.
Geography.
That's where they keep the joggers. I'll consider it once I see a happy jogger.
Okay. Now, this is a tough one.
All right.
What was the original destination of Moya prior to her escape?
Oh, oui.
Yeah, that's a deep cut. I don't think it's mentioned other than the premiere episode.
Sebaceous Prime.
Oh, no.
Alas, no. That was...
We were scheduled for transfer to Terran Ra.
That is a lifer's colony.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Hey, some of these questions are tough, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
Okay. Now, here's one that's also rather a tough one. Which characters had been on the same planet prior to meeting on Moya? Zahn and Dargo, Rigel and Durka, Chiana and Crichton.
Okay, so probably not the last one. So that leaves, I think Zahn and Dargo makes the most sense. But Rigel and Durka have been together, but not at the same planet. So I'm going to go with Zahn and Dargo.
Very good. 10 out of 10. Very good. That and I'm going to give you an extra 5 points for the cunning deduction and not falling from my little trap.
Yes.
With Rydell and Durka, yes, they had met previously, but that was on the Zelbidian and not on a. Zan and Dargo in the premiere episode when they introduced themselves discovered that they had both served time on Mekar 7, the maximum labor planet.
Oh yes.
But he was in the mines and she was in
horticulture.
Oh no, that's where she learned to do like coding.
Oh,
it
they have
came up.
slave coders or something like that.
Apparently,
it doesn't make much of a difference if you're in India working in a sweatshop, a coding plant, or if they have prisoners doing that.
Oh, like a World of Warcraft gold farm.
There you go.
All right, last question. Which planet visited in season 1 most closely resembles Louisiana? Aquara, Sycar, Dambada, or Denea?
Oh, great.
Yeah. It's a tough question.
Louisiana, but okay, which aspect of Louisiana are we talking about? If it was the swamp, then it would be the first one in episode 2. But I can't for the life of me remember what name it was.
Do you want to take a stab?
Okay.
We have Aquara, Sycar, Dambada, and Denea.
Dambada.
Oh, no.
Alas, no. I'll still give you the 5 points for figuring it out. Dambada was the planet, we just mentioned it with Furlough and the Vorkarian blood trackers and the wormhole
Dambada.
research.
Right, yeah.
Denea was the one from... but yes, it's Crichton who says it resembles Louisiana or Dagobah.
I'm not sure it's a swamp anymore when it's big enough to cover Moya. I mean,
hey, it's a swamp, it's a bog, it's what else? It's a marsh, a fen, a moor. Lots and lots of options as long as there's just water and muck.
And I'm still there. We're still pretty clever on being able to get Moya back out of that again.
Oh, she's a mighty ship.
But supposedly that means that most Leviathans would be able to do it.
I mean, it was a story told in hushed whispers among Leviathans.
Yeah, that young Leviathans would like to buzz planets and get as close. Who dares to get closest?
Yeah.
It seems like a little game. I wonder if we're going to see Boya doing that at some point.
Hey, we're looking back. We're looking back, not forward. Actually, someone is looking forward. Aaron, definitely. Like, of all of them, I think Erin makes the most growth because she started off a very emotionally closed, very focused person.
She was a soldier.
Yeah.
And then she got thrust out of that role and basically declared, oh, you are now contaminated. And she knows that she can't go back. But yeah, she didn't quite like that.
No, she was happy as a peacekeeper.
Yeah.
She was content, confident. She had a handle on the universe. We see anytime that she interacts with peacekeepers, she has great fondness for the peacekeeper way of life.
And
she knew nothing
and
else.
she smoothly falls back into that, as we see in episode 20, I believe.
Yes.
Nerve.
The hidden memory.
Hidden memory, sorry.
Oh, no.
That's the second part. But
yeah.
It's so nice to be able to talk with you, like this level of geekery.
See, no longer fresh-faced.
No. You're the frantically fascinated. What did you say? Yes,
frantically fascinated first time. I kept the first timer because that's still true.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, what you and I are doing, that's what it was like in the sort of hazy interbellum before season 2 started. We didn't have anything to do except
to talk about the amazing things.
Go on forums and make lists and quizzes for each other. It was such a... I mean, it was also one of the first shows to have a lot of internet activity.
Old fan Farscape?
I was never really into Usenet so much. I know that Babylon 5, J. Michael Straczynski, the creator, was constantly on Usenet. But the web was already around by the time that Farscape was on the air. We had some truly classic websites, many of which have now passed beyond the outer rim.
Webring.
Oh, Webrings, yes. Yuri Gagarin's Webring.
Oh, very good.
But so she goes from having to have the concept of compassion explained to her.
Compassion? What is compassion?
Compassion? You're kidding, right? It's a feeling that you have when you see someone else's pain, and instead of taking advantage of their weakness, you help them.
Oh, I know this feeling.
Yeah, well, it is a fairly common human feeling.
I hate it.
And not wanting to touch a scanner because that has tech cooties on it.
Yeah, going all the way to jumping straight out of her sick bed back into the Prowler to head back to Golgotha. No, wait, that's not what the plan was.
What?
Golta.
I don't know what you're saying.
The base. The
Gamak
base. Why do I keep going in? I don't know why. Gamak base.
It's okay. This is a place of support. Unless there's a quiz, but we're talking about Erin now, so you're kind of safe. We're now supporting one each other. No, but she does, and she winds up doing actual science when she freezes Rigel and has to study him.
Oh, look, I know it's so difficult up there in the ship.
Difficult? I had to stop him from blowing himself up to bits. I had to figure out what was causing the problem, and I had to fix it.
Yes, I know, and we're all grateful that you did the Madame Curie thing.
What? Who?
Madame Curie. She's
She's a scientist.
Scientist?
Yes.
What I had to do up there was like a field strategy exercise, only the enemy wasn't trying to kill me. The enemy was a puzzle, and there were lots of different pieces, and independently, separately, they didn't make any sense, and I had to think it through really hard, and I had to try different combinations of putting them together, and then finally, I worked out what had happened, and I worked out what I had to do. What?
This is great. You're trading in your pulse rifle for the junior chemistry kit.
Well, my pulse rifle wasn't any use to me this time.
That keeps coming more and more. That starts actually quite early on, doesn't it?
This was episode 5, thank God it's Friday again, where she does a whole ton of science.
Yes, and then later on again in Jeremiah Crichton is when she's building all the tech devices to...
MacGyver's a delivery vehicle.
Yeah.
She just does a lot of engineering, and she needs to get over it. She's so defensive about it. It's not tech work. This is field resourcefulness.
We're just like using mission equipment in an improvised way, I suppose.
Aaron, this is genius.
No, I modified flight headsets to block out acoustic wavelengths, that's all.
It's not bad for the girl who hates to do homework.
Well, it's military tech. It's battle-tested.
It's also like the kind of relationships that she develops were not relationships that she would ever have been open with. Like she didn't get very close with Zan throughout, I noticed.
No.
Even in Jeremiah Crichton, you noticed there was like a little bit of antagonism between them.
You were a lot more agreeable as a peace-loving priest. As I assume were you as a peacekeeper pilot. I didn't give up my calling. You did. My personal decision to put aside the spiritual seek is none of your business. I warn you fairly, Aaron. Do not go there. Is that a threat? I will only tell you once. There are lines that we should never cross.
They need their boundaries.
Yes.
Which is weird because they're both to me such sympathetic people, but they don't really like each. They're not each other's favorite person. Is
no.
How I'll put it.
She did cozy up to our little PK Tech girl. They had a little bit of an.
Julina,
Yes, they were a little bit very friendly towards each other at a certain point until the rivalry for John's affections started.
Yeah, they are fellow Sebastian. They have a lot in.
But Sebastians can get it on with anybody, it seems. I mean,
okay. How do you draw that conclusion?
Dargo's kid is half Sebastian.
Very good. Very good.
And I believe there's been a few more references to that sort of thing.
You're thinking of Scorpius.
Scorpius. Yeah, Scorpius was a half-breed.
The half-Scaran hybrid.
We don't know if the other half is Sebastian.
Right.
That's true.
So she had a few more, like, her relationship with Crace is much more fraught. Because it's Crace who declares her contaminated almost vindictively.
Yes.
Because she was taking Crichton's side, and he's decided that...
therefore she is wrong, therefore now she is kicked out and don't want you in my playgroup anymore.
Yeah. And then he left that secret message for her, encoded in the hologram, inviting her to return.
Which she knew was bullshit.
But still, like... Whenever the hologram played, she stood up straight. Yeah. She stood at attention. She couldn't help it.
Well, you listen to it if it was fake. She goes, "It's nice to dream a little bit." I believe was what she said.
It was nice to think. Yeah,
that's. Of course, the irony is that Crace, of course, later on gets declared contaminated himself as well.
Yeah. Her relationship with Pilot, I really like that as well. I mean, it starts with investigating Rigel. That's when they work together. And they talk about that, like, we work well together.
I mean, she's not part of the limb-ripping group, even though she does get injected with Pilot DNA in that episode.
She's already standing up, like, she blocks the path of the limb ripping. God, let's do a limerick with limb ripping in it. There once were 3 limb rippers on Moya who... Oh no! I've painted myself in a corner.
There once was there was a limb rip from a pilot.
Yes.
Called each and every a harlot.
Pilot is not easier to rhyme than Moya, I don't think.
Probably not. No, but pilot and harlot. It's a bit of a stretch, but
until she finally
they stole his DNA. They fought in a fray.
They tried to get away. Yeah,
and Aaron became such a flyet. No.
A what?
As a flying idiot, but...
We'll workshop that.
She does have lovely affinity with both Pilot and with the new offspring. I won't say the name, but...
Oh, you can. I'm just being unsporting. she has still some pilot DNA that has altered her perception. Like, she's able to intuit how things work. She remembers all those controls effortlessly. She can do more multitasking. And then when she meets Talon, it's this combination of something that she's intuitively very familiar with and something that they come from the same place. They're both peacekeepers.
But it's also demonstrated in the episode that I have here as Trapped in Space Again.
I'm going to guess 117 Through the Looking Glass.
Very good. Hey. Excellent. When John tries to give her the instructions on how to restart some aspects of it, and she goes, "Yeah, I know this.
Turn it, pass it on, pop it."
Yeah. All right, time for another category.
Oh yes. So we still have culture, history, and nature.
Nature.
Okay. I originally had this written down as chemistry and biology, so that's an alternative header. Which of these compounds is not normally found on leviathans? Chronite, iridescent fluid, onlux, or amniox?
I think it was chronite. I think it was one of the forbidden substances.
You're going for chronite?
Chronite, that's the one.
No, I tricked you.
Oh, no.
Chronite is what the floor is made of. You know, the chronite shavings.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a bit of a trick. Onlux is also known as chlorium.
Chlorium? It's an element.
It is one of the 6 forbidden cargoes.
But it's only onlux, just onlux.
It is what they need.
I'm going to give you 5 points for realizing that it was the forbidden cargo. Very good, though. Okay, the next question. How many aliens does the astronomer Linnea see in IET?
She sees John. She sees Dargo. I don't know if she sees Aaron. No, wait, no, because there's like some video communication there. So she sees many more, yes. Because I think she sees Pilot as well.
Yes, ding.
That's what really convinces her. And I'm going to go with Aaron as well, because I seem to think that Aaron was also out and about there.
She was definitely on the planet. I'm actually going to... I don't know for sure whether they meet in the end, but she was definitely there. I'm going to give you full marks for this. Plus 10 points. Well done.
Thank you.
Sticking with this sort of list, how many aliens has John kissed?
Oh, dear.
Because he's a bit of a slut.
I have to think now.
It is a quiz, Aaron
and Angelina, Zahn. I'm pretty sure he's kissed Dargo. He's kissed Rigel. He's pretty much kissed the entire crew, hasn't he? I think he's even kissed Pilot, hasn't he?
No, unfortunately, no. I would have remembered that.
I thought it was like right at the end of Through the Looking Glass. I think everybody ends up in a big love pile in Pilot's den.
Oh, wow. It is impossible to know that he didn't. I'm going to give you that one. Yes, no, certainly in my fan fiction that I'm about to write. Yes.
Oh, of course, the lass in Jeremiah Crichton.
Very good. Yes. Full marks for this one. There was one more that he kissed. That's Lorana, the Delvian, but he also kissed. Is it? Well, I mean, she does the ear jolt thing. That's perhaps like she air blasts him.
You can let go now, John. Thank you.
She gives him umlaut.
10 points for this full list. In fact, no, I'm giving you an extra 5 for adding Pilot to my fanfiction. There we go. Okay, next question in the category of nature, chemistry, biology. Which of these oils has not been handled by Zahn?
Okay.
Lutra oil, Basim oil, Chakan oil, or... Gosh, there's one more. It's on the last bit of... It's under the freaking staple. Trellin oil. And which of these has Zahn not handled?
Well, it's definitely not Chakanol, because she's shooting guns at some point, and I suppose that those are powered by the Chakan oil, if I recall correctly.
You know what? Yeah. I'm actually going to have to retread this, because the one that she hasn't directly handled is Chakan oil, but not in her chemistry set.
Oh, right.
But definitely she has. We've seen her shooting from the hip, dispassionately murking. Okay, I'm going to eliminate this question. I'm just going to give you a default 5 and a crisp apology for me.
I did see the expression on your face change as I started talking. I didn't think of that one.
Just forget about this category. Hey, moving safely along. We haven't completely resolved Aaron and Crace. Mm-hmm. In the end, like her final confrontation with Crace, we talked about it before, it ends with her asserting herself over him.
Captain Crace, what are you doing in this chair?
Who's that?
Well, I suppose I shouldn't expect you to recognize my voice.
Release me from this chair.
Why? So that you can kill me the way that you killed Lieutenant Teague.
Who are you?
I am irreversibly contaminated. Now do you know who I am?
Aaron. Son.
Does this contaminate you?
I am still your commanding officer.
But I am no longer a peacekeeper.
You are a peacekeeper for life. On the oath you took.
Your oath means nothing to me. You made sure of that. You destroyed everything. I lost everything because of you.
Aaron, son.
Do you know what I learned while I was away from you? Everything I lost isn't worth a damn.
Telling him how much she's grown, that she's almost grateful to him in the sort of ironic way.
Yeah.
That without his ouster of her, she would have never discovered how much more there is to life than being a peacekeeper.
You will never order me again.
I will track you down and kill you, Officer Son. On that I give you my vow.
You know what I give you, Grace? Your life.
Oh yeah, I give you your life.
I will make you watch your life.
And then she slams the button. That's not their last encounter, but that's how she probably would have liked to see their last encounter to be.
She was not planning to see him again.
No,
Surprised
leave
there.
him in this chair screaming, having his brain sucked out by the rotating chair of fun.
And then she has to see him again. She shows him talent again for some reason. I still don't quite know why
No,
she
that
does
makes no sense. And especially the fact that there was nothing to stop him from going back there.
Maybe Moya just wasn't a very good prison ship.
I suppose not. I mean, the other people escaped from it. It still doesn't explain how he got from Moya onto Tallinn. There doesn't seem to be a docking tube or anything like that. So he must have taken a transporter,
yeah.
or which we know that there's at least two.
I don't imagine that he would have nicked John's Farscape module.
Unlikely.
Aaron was out in her prowler.
Yeah, Aaron was out in a prowler, and they were out in the other module to destroy Garnak base.
You did that one on purpose. It's a Gamak base.
Gamak base.
Yeah. I can see you.
On the oil planet.
Yeah. Oh, Grace. He's he. I had a very special affinity for Grace. You know, I'm of Asian descent myself, and it's unusual to see someone who looks like me in science fiction and in such a position of authority. And like he had, I did indeed try and see if I could make a battle pony for myself. It did not work very well.
Okay.
No, I don't have the lush Samoan hair that Lani Tupu
The guy's Baltar hair does work well for you. So
thank you. Sympathy for the devil. We learned that he was conscripted. He was shanghaied as a child.
Yes.
Something that apparently
It's
somehow
fairly common.
Jelena knew.
No.
Because remember, she reprogrammed the chair, the Aurora chair, to project this false memory that she must have programmed, where this false image of Grace says that he was shanghaied.
I was shanghaied from the commune as a young boy.
Again, how is there a Shanghai in space?
Yeah.
How would she know that? Because Crichton didn't know it the last time that he and Jelena met, so he couldn't have told her.
No, that's right. He doesn't learn that until after they meet. I don't know, maybe she's like a tech girl. She probably read his file or something when, like, something the techs do when they get bored. They just, like, hack into the computer and start reading the superiors.
Yeah. In that little speakeasy they've got. They just randomly pick someone's file. Ooh, what'll it be like when they get to Stanza's file?
Oof.
Actually, she had quite a record.
How do we know that?
We've just accessed the criminal ident files from the Peacekeepers. Seems out Mr. Stans has quite a record.
Now, before we get to the next category, we've got a new segment, ads.
We're doing some fun cross-promotion with some other plucky upstart podcasts.
First up is Cosmopunk, a fantastically produced actual play Pathfinder RPG podcast, co-starring our friend and staunch ally, Pan.
And Supernatural on the Rocks, where Emily and Mandy rewatch Supernatural by watching and reviewing a whole ass season per episode.
They're kind of upstaging us then. Like, that seems like a whole lot to do. I listened to the first episode. It's a lot of fun. These are two of the hosts from Glee on the Rocks, where they're reviewing episodes of Glee.
Oh, it's been a while since I watched that.
Yeah, maybe we should give that a shot.
Okay.
And finally, this is cool. We've got our first listener submission, which is the Farscape theme recomposed for piano and performed by Leigh Collier, which is just jaw-dropping.
It's amazing.
Let's take a listen.
Hi. Did you know you can upgrade the reactor in our ship to a toroidal Series 3 turbofan model?
No.
I mean, it's only slightly exploded, look.
No.
Ladies, we've got a job.
Oh, thank God. I don't care what it is. Just please stop vetoing my engines.
It's some kind of advertising job for our Cosmopunk show, it looks like. But it's got to be quick. It can't be anything longer than 50 seconds.
Flyboy, set a timer for 50 seconds.
No, we've already started. The timer's going to mean a damn thing.
Oh, it'll give us a rough idea.
Hang on, I didn't agree to be in an advert.
Well, it's too late. You're already in it. Besides, it'll be over by the time you get your fat coyote butt out of the room.
Hey, you're fatter than I am.
Oh, stop arguing, you lot. I'll do it. Cosmopunk is a Starfinder actual play podcast focusing on character-driven storytelling. We're 4 friends from the UK, and occasionally more than 4 friends from not the UK. We play homebrewed stories for the crew of the Leica 7 set in Paizo's Starfinder universe. Follow the adventures of 4 alien mercs as we get into trouble and advance out of space. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and check us out at cosmopunk.net.
Wow. That was actually really good.
This is Supernatural on the Rocks, a new Supernatural podcast hosted by 2 of the voices behind Glee on the Rocks. I am Emily, a longtime viewer of Supernatural who could never let it go.
And I'm Mandy, a fan of the start who did let it go, but it just wouldn't stay gone.
Every episode, we cover a season of Supernatural,
digging into the mythology, the characters, and the fandom it left behind.
With extra episodes when we need to talk just a little bit more.
Because there's always more to talk about, isn't there?
So join us to remember the road that was.
At Supernatural on the Rocks.
Okay.
2 more categories. We've still got culture and history.
Okay, let's do history first. I'd like to finish with culture.
Okay, very good. How long has Dargo been aboard Moya?
7 cycles, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It's actually 8, but within 1 standard deviation, so we'll call that 5 points.
I have spent 8 degrading cycles aboard this ship, and now I'm finally liberated.
Congratulations. How long ago was Rigel disposed?
Oh, geez. I mean, he was imprisoned for over 100 cycles, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I assume...
Oh, sorry.
So, and I assume that he was imprisoned shortly afterwards. So I'm going to go with slightly somewhere north of 100, 100...
Over 100 cycles,
yes.
Correct. That's plus 10 points. How long has Zan been...
tortured by my own dark impulses? Feeling insanity's grip.
Oh, 3 cycles.
3?
No, wait. There was something about 3 cycles. No, she was imprisoned somewhere else for 3 cycles, and that's when she turned towards the priesthood. That's the first time she was imprisoned or something, which is weird because then when she was a priest, she did the thing that she was imprisoned again for. So I'm confused now.
Huh. Actually, you've hit on a good point there. So she began the Delvian Seek.
Yes.
Then she was... Okay, while she was imprisoned for murdering the spiritual leader.
Yeah.
But while she was having sex with the spiritual leader and Unity and killing him, she was not yet...
Maybe not.
...on the priesthood.
So she was imprisoned there for 3 years, I believe. But she was probably in prison longer than...
So Unity is not like a religious activity. Interesting.
I guess so. All right, let's go for 20 cycles.
It's 17 cycles. Close. Close.
Yeah,
I think it's 1 standard deviation, so...
No, 17 minus those 3 that I talked about. So
there you go. Not giving you the full 10, though. Nice try.
Oh, no.
All right. How old was Erin when she first started flying scrub runners?
Oh, which one was the scrub runner again?
It's the one that she flew before the KL-80 and the KL-81.
Right, and she started flying those when she was 16, and that was a little bit late, but she was too short to reach the controls. So the scrub runner would have been when she was 11.
Ooh, too young. She was only 14.
Oh.
Oh, no.
I can't do the math on the bell curves on that,
yeah.
So I think that's a miss.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, we have quite a few more questions in the topic of history.
Oh, damn.
Well,
Okay,
of course,
yeah.
this is the story so Farscape. There's a lot of history.
Fair point.
How many characters have been aboard both the Zelbinian and Moya?
Ooh, okay. There was Jelena, Rigel, John. Let's see, who else went on board the Zelbinian? I'm trying to remember who was on board that ship during the episode. I'm going to say the full cast. Dargo too, I think. Grace has been on the Zelbinian? No, yes, he has been, because he's the one who left Jelena there. So he's probably been on board there as well. I think that's it.
You know, I thought this would be a really entertainment segment, but now I just realized that I ask you these questions, then I have to shut the fuck up while you try and figure it out. I can't even help you. I want so badly to help you. This is actual torture. Okay, you missed Erin.
Oh,
she was also aboard, and Zan was not. Zan did not arrive on board, but you did add Grace, which I think is entirely valid, even though it's not explicitly stated that he came aboard. Of course, he would have boarded.
Yes, it's the mythic ship.
Yes, and even in his state of derangement, he hasn't met Maldus yet at that point, so he hasn't accelerated his derangement. He hasn't murdered Lieutenant Paperneck yet.
No.
So I'm going to give you a solid 10 for this. But we have 2 more questions.
All right.
How many times does John break Zan's mask? Yes.
That
back and back to the future, where he sees the time flashes and returns holding her blue crystal. You know what? I thought it was a death mask.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so precious. It's an older tradition where the face of a deceased person would be plastered and a cast would be made of it. You know, much cheaper than a painting, which wouldn't be able to get everywhere.
And photographs weren't available in a period of that time. Okay, so now I'm trying to... It's either going to be 1 or 3. I can't remember if he breaks the cycle by breaking the mask or if he breaks the cycle by not breaking the mask.
I just realised that as torturous as this is for me, it's probably even worse for the listeners at home who are screaming into their headphones.
I'm going to go with 3.
3, well done! Exactly. 10 more points for you. And lastly, which high school did John attend? The options are Lincoln High, JFK High, Roosevelt High, or Washington High.
Lincoln High.
Oh, no.
It was JFK.
Okay.
Can't win them all, but gosh, you've done well.
Oh, thank you.
Who else we got?
Let's see. Rigel?
Rigel. What I love about him, he does not grow an inch.
No.
Over the entire season, he is still the same. He betrays them in the end.
You think that he starts picking up on it, but no, he doesn't. When push comes to shove, he just looks out for number 1.
Rigel, this is not the time to give up selfishness.
He is old. He is consistent.
He is all about food. He's happy when you feed him.
Yeah.
Okay, the one thing that Rigel does grow in is in his depiction. I mean, both in the development of the puppet and in how the puppeteers handle him and how he's put in scenes. I think there's definitely a progression in that regard. And I always delighted in scenes in which they've found a new way to put Rigel in the scene and have him interact with it. And it's either they're hiding him, they're having him sit on a pillar, sometimes, and suddenly he's actually walking. At one point he's being carried by Dargo, and I swear that the guy who played Dargo is actually puppeteering Rigel at that point, and with a fake hand around him, was just being carried around.
He's basically a cat in a bag.
He just had to,
I'm thinking also of 117, Through the Looking Glass.
Yes.
In the sort of frat boy crack dimension where where he's floating along on his throne sled, and there just happens to be a desk covering our view of where he's floating.
Yes. Or in the prison cell when he was captured by the space orcs.
Very good. Buried up to his neck.
Yep, very easy to puppeteer.
Very convenient. Zan, how about her?
Zan.
I mean, she actually reverts. She backslides.
Yes. She goes into a deep emotional crisis, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, she still develops, of course, but she doesn't improve, let me put it like this.
No, she has that taken away from her.
Yeah,
the
control.
growth and the stability, yeah.
Although there is something to be said, that the control, she had it, and the fact that you backslide doesn't mean you lose that. It's like when you cheat on a diet for your day, you haven't ruined your diet. You just set yourself back a day.
I wonder if there's an appropriate metaphor to find here. I mean, addiction is certainly one where if the addiction is severe, exposure to the substance or the habit or whatever, breaking the restraint can be extremely mentally damaging.
True.
To one's self-confidence, to one's ability to maintain that kind of, it wasn't laid on very thick, but there might, now I'm thinking about it, there might actually be something of an addiction narrative.
But there also seemed to be some sort of transferable talent, if I recall that episode correctly.
It was stolen from her so that Talene could benefit from it.
Yeah.
After which she immediately went and killed someone and went insane.
Ruined it all, yeah. Weird woman, that.
Yeah.
But other than that, Zan is almost always so serene and so helpful and confident, which makes it all the more interesting when she's not.
And she's such an amazing actress as
Yes.
well. She's so gorgeous. Obviously,
Hayes,
she's
yeah.
a beautiful a beautiful creation. The collaboration of the makeup department and her own, like her sacrifice as a woman. She shaved her head.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with her from a few years ago where she declared that she had taken a vow of celibacy. In that, like, she had her fill of attractive young men in her youth, and now it's somebody else's turn.
Oh, very nice. How very considerate of her.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hay. Now we stand a chance as well.
All right. Last category?
Leftover is culture.
Bring it on.
Okay, now culture is a bit of a cheat, but I debated whether to call the category culture or entertainment. You'll see.
Okay, fair enough.
Which alternative identities does John use throughout season 1?
Okay, he uses the identity of one of the commanders, of the Peacekeeper commanders, the raiding team that came on board.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. That's Captain Larak.
Larak, yes, that's the one.
That's the one he uses when he infiltrates the Gamak base.
Yep, and he also uses that, I believe, when they first... he also uses the same identity when Larak comes on board.
Yeah, but it's not the same identity.
No,
He's not
it's different.
identifying himself as Larak.
And that's the commander of the first time a Marauder came on board, when they were fighting the Monarch, and they used the heat to get all the peacekeepers in.
But those peacekeepers leave, though. Yeah, because do you remember he told them, like...
What kind of creature are you?
That's a good question. It's too bad Christ didn't ask that before he declared war on me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right, they leave. I forgot about that.
But yeah, he identifies himself as Captain Crichton to Larak.
That's why I maybe thought that he was...
he was a captain and not a commander.
And a commander. You pulled a sneaky on him.
A little bit.
In episode 2, he actually calls himself a space alien, so that's fine. I'm sure he's done a few more, but I can't really quite put my finger on which episode it would have been.
Oh, no.
With the Vorkarian blood trackers, he identified himself as Butch Crichton.
Butch. God, yes.
I'm Butch. This is Sundance. We're the hole in the sky gang.
Okay.
I'm going to squeak you through with, you know what? Actually, you didn't really get the Captain Crichton either. I'm sorry. I'm going to call this one a whiff.
No, I agree.
All right. Now, you can earn some points back.
Yeah.
How many forms of address can you name for Rigel? Specifically, how many different titles have people given Rigel?
Okay. Dominar, Your Eminence. There's been some distinctly less flattering ones.
Gosh, yes.
I could go and sit here and flip through my notes here, because I know I can find at least 2 more, but that would take quite a while.
Oh yes, you've got your whole set of notes.
I've notes here.
I'm sorry. I should have set a timer or something.
I think Earbrows was one of mine.
That's yours. You're not a member of Moya.
No,
Gosh,
true.
Wish that we were.
And I know for a fact that I wrote down several more.
I should have made this a reverse sort of a multiple choice one, shouldn't I? You're right. Your Eminence is definitely right. Dargo, Zan, Bakesh, Pilot, and the Priestess have all called him your Eminence. Dargo once adds your rectal Eminence.
Right. That's after he does another one of his helium farts. Yeah.
Gianna calls him your Royal Frogness.
Aye, your Royal Frogness.
Darko calls him your Lonus.
That's the one I have. I think I have that one written down.
Yeah. And Crichton's nicknames include like Sparky and Big Fella.
I never really got the Sparky one. That's what that's a reference to.
Okay, we'll call this one a whiff as well.
Yes.
We've got 2 more questions.
Okay.
What is Crace's brother's name?
Oh.
I know. It's a multiple choice.
Okay.
Is it Talvo, Melkor, Bital, or Varel?
Oh, Talvo, Melvo, Bital. I'm going to go with Talvo.
Talvo is correct.
Yes.
Well done. Talvo Crace, 10 points.
Good.
All right, and
I'm
one
winning.
more multiple choice. Which of these is not a Luxon possession? Shilquin, Qualta, Tokar, Ima.
Ooh, well, Tolkar's the Keyblade. Can you run it by me again once more time?
Yep. Shilquin, Qualta,
that's the blade.
Tokar, Ima.
Nah, I'm going to have to guess here. I'm going to go with Ima.
Correct. Ima is a probably non-reproductive part of the anatomy. The Shilquin is the musical instrument that Metallo recognizes and that he plays for Pilot as an apology for cutting his arm off. The Qualta blade, you correctly identified, that's his magical gun blade. And Tokar is his bris knife.
Bris knife, yes, I thought so. Okay. Who haven't we talked about yet? Chiana.
Pilot.
and
Chiana, actually, that's a very good one.
Yeah.
Well, Chiana makes I think the most sort of rapid development of everyone there. Like, she arrives in episode 15, and by 18...
She's already trying to leave.
She does that a few times, yes, it's true. But she's the one who cooks everyone dinner.
Everybody's favourite food.
Yeah.
As a goodbye dinner, I suppose.
I guess when you're young and you live fast, you grow fast too.
Yes. People are out their late teenage years. They may go through a lot of development. And especially in an environment like this, I can get a lot of that as emotional development. Especially when you've got Zahn lurking on the corners of corridors to assist people when they're having an emotional crisis.
Just spiraling until somebody...
Finally.
Finally, someone having a breakdown worse than me.
But yeah, she's lovely. She's, we compared her once to someone from the cast of Cats.
Yes.
But that's also the way she talks and her sultry little voice, her quiet little... Oh.
Shout out, by the way, to our listener and fantastic artist, Stephen, who did a wonderful drawing of Chiana as Bombalurina from Cats. It's wonderful. Check out at Smooth Android on Twitter and commission them because he is fantastic.
And, of course, we have to talk about Pilot.
What's there to say?
Dreamy-eyed Pilot.
Yes, he has such kind eyes. He got so many close-ups in the last episode.
That's really the only thing you can do with him. Anytime you want to do a long-distance shot with him, you have to include the whole...
you have to do the CGI of the environment.
Then. So everybody always cozies up to Pilot. You always get like him in his clamshell hollow projectors.
Yeah, I like that people got closer and closer to him.
Yeah.
And that they... And what a creation. The Henson crew, like the Creature Shop, they really wanted to challenge themselves and show that they could do these kind of creations every week. Fantastic work by Dave Elsey in the Creature Shop in Sydney. But there's these two extremes where you've got the gigantic Pilot, who is enormous and required like 6 to 8 people.
Right.
Also, like the console, of course, is also being puppeteered and all the panels coming up.
Oh, yeah, there's people pushing those things up and down and like...
And his arms meeting them and all of that beautifully choreographed. Yeah. A complex face with these hair eyes on stalks like that. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have Rigel, which was created like... as small as possible to show that there is definitely not a dude in there.
And he is completely... It's an alien, yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't even fit a hand in there. You could if you wanted, but there would be no room for the animatronics, which it's needed.
No, I suppose not.
And still the eyes could move, and you could get close-ups. You got one episode started with a close-up of his eye.
And we do see a lot of extra Rigels lying around, especially in the last episode, which I think you had a very good point. It's like the used up latex skins from previous iterations of the puppet or during the production process when they're still working on it. Oh, this one does looks wrong. The skin came out grey. It's like, just use them as a dead one.
Yes, exactly. It got nicked a little bit.
And I guess we also saw that in the episode with the wormhole aliens. We also saw a dead Rigel at one point.
Yes, that's right. That was
completely.
That was great.
I want to say vivisection, but he wasn't alive at the point, so it's just a
dissection.
Is it just dissection?
Autopsy.
Autopsy is the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, I wonder at which point in the production did they think like for all of these cast members, and we're going to sort of bring it back round. All of these cast members come from such interesting cultures. Yeah. I'm sure that early on in the pre-production process, they thought, "Wow, this is going to be so exciting to explore these cultures," like they did on Star Trek as well. Like you meet a lot of Klingons, and then they realized. Once they did their first episode with Delvians, they realized even having 4 Delvians and all that makeup, I'm like, this is so expensive. It takes so long. How much did Rigel cost? 20 million. We're never going to Hyneria. We're definitely never, ever going. Imagine having to build 80 of these little fuckers.
Oh, that would be terrible. They did have to do the throne room scene in Labyrinth, where you have, I don't know how many goblin puppets sitting around.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Doing things like, you could do that for a Hynerian throne room scene.
Oh, how glorious would that be?
It would be a fantastic shot. But you'd have to build a stage with as many holes in it as Swiss cheese, and like a small army of puppeteers to do all.
Stage up real high, which was originally it was one of the original plans for Moya's set to be built on gantries, on risers, so that you could have like panels rising up out of the ground, and you could have the puppeteers under the floors to do creative stuff.
Right.
One of many things that alas didn't
survive the budget cuts.
Yeah, well, they did an amazing amount of work. The CGI holds up. Like the idea that this came out in 1999, produced in Australia, it was just on the Sci-Fi Channel, and 22 of these episodes in a year. Absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, it's a punishing schedule. It gives you 2 weeks per episode, I guess, if nobody takes any long breaks.
Thinking back on it, every one of these creatures that we saw, like Namtar, the rebooted Kink Wizard,
yes,
like that had to be built in a week. right? Because you've got a week and a bit before you do your next...
Well, I presume they had a little bit more lead time for that design.
Sure, but if you want to take more lead time on one creature, then that leaves less of your team available for next week's episode, the previous week's episode.
No, absolutely. That's very true. But a lot of the problems were solved by this week's episode. We have the Planet of the Purple Pants people. So that's the seamstress department, like, of working overtime to get everybody their purple and gold cloth outfits.
And then, the only creature we need is a Shakloom. Yeah, we can handle that.
Yes, and then there was the ski hat people who were just wearing red. And most of the time, not that many people around.
No, I think the most people, we see a lot of peacekeepers.
Yes, but they're easy. They're humans.
Yeah, specifically Australians. And they had
no.
Oh no, we're not going to end this episode with denigrating our friends in Australia.
It wasn't denigrating. I thought it was hilarious when Pilot went like that. Oh no!
Oh no!
She gives me a Woody.
She gives you the willies.
So, let's talk about the willies and woodies about season 1.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people are curious about your favorites.
Right.
So, you're going to have to throw a gauntlet down.
Well, I know that with my willies, I suppose, I'm going to piss off someone anyway, whichever I
Do
choose.
it, coward.
Okay.
Do it. Choose your side.
So, week episodes, I would say Rhapsody in Blue, I thought was a bit of a weird...
Interesting. That's with the other Delvians.
Yes.
And Zahn's backstory.
Right. I mean, it had that, which made it an interesting thing. And, like, literally all the episodes that I'm going to mention about, they all had interesting parts. So... I think it's very hard to say.
Your favorites. You're entirely entitled. Like we're fans of this show.
Yeah, let's just say that the ones I enjoyed the least, I suppose. That's probably the best way to go.
Everyone can have their preferences.
Yeah, totally Rhapsody Blue. It was a bit of a weird one with the whole Delphian background thing and the stealing of the piece and the abilities, and it was a strange one. Another one which I thought was a bit odd was Thank God It's Friday Again.
With that was Dargo on the planet of the magic turnips.
Yes, where they were like making gun fuel for the peacekeepers.
Yeah,
and that again, it was fairly early on episode. I guess they were still finding their thing, and they were doing a little bit of Planet of the Week.
Planet of the Week is the pattern that I'm seeing in your willies so far.
I suppose, yeah. Although I think the one that didn't speak to me the most would probably be the Flax.
Ah, okay. Well, that's also sort of a bottle episode.
Again, yeah.
But
it has important character development where Dargo decides to choose the crew rather than have the chance to find his missing family.
So John and Aaron nearly get it on.
That too. So if I'd have to talk about like the weakest episodes, I would probably go with those three, and I think that's the Flax being my least.
That's entirely fair. Like I'm not gonna reject your preferences. I'm not gonna defend these because that's just that's just bad. And we've already done that because I've been this person. I still am this person. When someone says they dislike something, and I try to I want to share with them why I love it and why it's a thing worth loving. But you already know this. You've seen it. You came from a place of love and passion for this
fantastic series. Yeah,
I'm so glad that you're sharing it with me. And of course, we all have preferences. Honestly, if I look back at what I enjoyed the least, it's been a really bizarre experience. The things that I've enjoyed the least have been the episodes that I've been the most looking forward to. The things that I was most excited to share with you, they left me with this melancholy. Now it's over, right?
Yeah.
There's all these Planet of the Week episodes early on, and it's so experimental. And then it's a Western with Till the Blood Runs Clear, and then it's I don't know what exactly they were doing with Throne for a Loss, but it's a sort of a rollicking adventure, and sometimes it's a very talky episode like Rhapsody in Blue. I love that it was also so wild and experimental, but of course, I knew how much cool stuff there was coming, and the plot was going to develop. You've got Moya's pregnancy, Dargo's backstory, the Peacekeepers, Crace. All of this was
so
still
much
to come.
going on. Yes,
that when it arrived, it was
now the anticipation's gone.
Yeah, now we've started on what you could call the real Farscape,
right?
But also this magical era of innocence is over.
Right, the preliminaries are over. We've now done a little bit of universe building and establishing how things are, and now we're going to get on with the actual Farscape story, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably get to that in the course of the second season. But this was part of like the television channels for which this was being produced. The Sci-Fi Channel was adamant that the stories had to be episodic.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the television that they made worked. Until, I mean, you saw that the final 4 episodes sort of held together, and there was a 2-part, which was very unusual for sci-fi. But it worked so well that by the second season, the studio was asking for more of them, and this became a staple of Farscape in the future. So actually, the one that I enjoyed the most was the one that I enjoyed the least when I was watching it the first time, Bone to be Wild, episode 21, because it was another delicious sort of alien of the week, planet of the week. It was an almost standalone adventure in the middle of this great arc,
right? But still contributing to the arc.
Yes, and the fact that it was both. We've talked about it during the episode. Like the first time that I saw it, I was kind of frustrated that they weren't just get on with it, get back to the adventure. But here, I was so glad. Like, yes, I know that there's cool adventure coming, but you're also like fantastic television makers with cool aliens, and like just have some fun. Just have fun
and have an interesting story.
Yeah.
So as for my biggest enjoyment, disregarding episode 18 to 22, which was clearly the thing when it. All of it super exciting and
very good.
Interesting to watch. I would say my favorite episode was Human Reaction.
Interesting.
Yes,
I mean it had the least alienness. It's.
I know, but it was very much about John. It had a lot of aliens. It was about the wormholes. It was about John. I kind of dug that whole. You're not on Earth. We are on Earth, but you're not. And the whole the aliens playing in his head, looking in his head and turning it in, and like, yeah, of course, like John's disappointment at like, no, I'm not on Earth, but also Erin's response to like being shown what Earth is like.
Rain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it is, or is like
rain? Is that what you call this? I like it.
Yes.
I thought that was. I mean, I think that also like. Gave Erin a bit of an insight into John's world. It's like now she knows where he's from. Well, like she's seen it. She's
She
has an idea about it. So I think that was my favorite episode.
That's a really good choice, Kay.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. Yes, because I mean it really grounds these aliens as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, the Hynerian autopsy, which was grim, but like seeing Erin brandishing an M141 or whatever it was. Yes, that is like she's more a soldier now that you've seen her with an Earth weapon. Still pantac jab, but
that too,
you know.
And really, that peacekeeper gun is just a Steyr, which is like got a few extra bits and bolts stuck on. But you know, that's
yeah. I mean, the blasters that have got the pulse pistols, like. They're just latex molds. They don't even have moving triggers.
No.
They barely have a light in them.
Yeah, it's not even a hero prop. It's just a
But it's still all very cool. So it's a really good choice.
Thank you. It's fun, interesting thinking about this and looking back at the episodes and actually like having a little think about each episode, what it is that makes it part of Farscape and what appeals to in it to me.
We've actually extended our hiatus a little bit, and I took you along on an unexpected journey of your first rewatch of the first episode. We decided to do something utterly absurd. So I took the European version of Farscape episode 1, the premiere. So that's the one that's on all the DVDs and airing. So it's the extended version of 50 odd minutes. And we watched it together. And then after the credits finished, I muted the video and I started playing Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, and
it was not the Wizard of Oz, but there were some beautiful moments where there's like
of unexpected synchronicity.
Yeah,
I've taken some notes for those of our listeners who would like to join in this particular madness. Do you remember any?
The shot of the Farscape 1 moving through Moya's docking bay, being pulled in by the docking web. That was a very beautiful one. I don't remember which. It's one of the earlier songs. Like,
Breathe.
That's the one. Yes.
While it's being dragged through. Yes, it's glorious. And fitting in with our little headcanon that the first time that Crichton steps out and he's held at gunpoint by a DRD, and you see the muzzle flash of the DRD and the screen goes white, that's when like the lyrics "All You Will Ever Be" appear, like suggesting, okay, maybe that was the last moments of John Crichton in life.
And he's all hallucinating it.
Yes. There were strong, like, Big Lebowski vibes. The Peacekeeper command bridge looked even more like the interior of a clock.
I suppose, it's very mechanical and precise.
Certainly with the ticking and in track time.
And that makes, of course, like a very big contrast to the way Moya looks, which is very organic, and the Peacekeepers are much more mechanical in that regard.
And then the final shot of Moya and the credits with Eclipse, I screamed. Yes. That was great.
It was a very fun way to do it. It's also very interesting to watch it again and just pick up on things and see like things that you are now going to recognize from being used later in the show. So it's very much an interesting watch through to just even watch the episode like that. And of course we had the subtitles on, so we could like still follow the dialogue and everything.
Oh yeah, because otherwise you'd miss out on some stuff. Would still be obvious. Like there's a cool shot of Rigel over the line, "It's a gas."
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's been so much fun rediscovering this all with you, and it's been such a delight revisiting what we've shared together, because as I mentioned before, all these episodes that I remember not being my favorite, I so looked forward to them and I so delighted in them. And even with, Bone to be Wild, I think we talked about it a little bit, that felt like an interruption. That felt like a distraction from what I was really excited about when I saw it the first time, because we saw Nerve and then we saw The Hidden Memory.
And then suddenly that got thrown in.
And then now we've got a Monster of the Week.
Get on with the story. Yeah.
But this time I was like, oh yes, let's have one more monster. The monsters of the week are so good. Just give me one more. And it was almost so sad when it was over.
Yes.
And then the discovery, for me at least, that it was Martin Xokas, the fantastic, beautiful actor in that horrible Alibaba Ent costume. Shout out to our listener Cribson. But yes, now it's time for us to look forward, and we still have a lot to look forward to. Because next week we're going to return to our usual form. We're going to discuss the next episode. Oh wait, hold on. We have a format for this, don't we?
Right.
And that's the story so farscape.
We'll see you next week with Season 2, Episode 1, Mind the Baby. A game of rock, paper, scissors becomes a game of deal or no deal when lives depend on a devil's bargain. The enemy of my frenemy might just be my end. Wow.
Hey, I wrote that synopsis. Don't pull those faces.
It's fantastic. No. I'm just like, it's so complete. It's so densely packed with twists and turns that my mind is still catching up with that sentence.
A lot to look forward to. In the meantime, you can find us at SoFarscape on Facebook and Twitter, and on sofarscape.com. We'd love to hear from you. I have been Kaki.
I have been Kay. So Farscape, so good.